In this week's edition, the new Skills in Demand visa arrives, along with the new Core Skilled Occupation list and a new National Innovation visa. Lots to talk about, so go grab a cuppa. Hi, I'm Carl Conrad and welcome to Australian Immigration News, proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services, the company I founded more than 26 years ago, right here in the heart of Sydney. As I said last week, lots can happen in the world of Australian migration before Christmas, so let's get going. Finally, the Skills in Demand visa has arrived with the legislation released yesterday. As it turns out, we're still stuck with the old 482 visa with just a new name. Prior to the 7th of December, the 482 visa was called the Temporary Skills Shortage visa, and now it's called the Skills in Demand visa. The revised requirements of the 482 visa is certainly not the easier to navigate working visa we were promised by the government. Yes, we were all expecting a faster user-friendly visa subclass, but instead we received just a facelift model, with a promise of a further facelift still to come, when they finally figure out the essential skilled stream. The same labour market testing requirements are there, which we thought were going to be removed. The same genuine position requirements, the same market salary rate requirements, the same Skilled Australia Fund requirements, and even now a new financial capacity requirement has been added. Overall, it remains an expensive and complicated visa for businesses to use to sponsor workers we need here in Australia. However, on the positive side, for visa holders in particular, there are some great reforms. More 482 visa holders will have access to permanent residency than ever before. Let's cover the key standout changes that benefit visa applicants before we go into the individual three streams that make up the SID visa. Firstly, to be sponsored for permanent residency through the 186 visa TRT stream, visa applicants will be able to combine periods of employment with any employers while they held the 482 visa or the old 457 visa for the 3 years before the application was made. This is a great change of having to be working for your sponsoring employer for 2 years before you could apply. Secondly, the direct entry stream of the ENS visa opens up now to all occupations on the new CSOL, and we'll discuss the new CSOL later in this edition. That is a huge increase of possibilities to be sponsored for many more occupations than ever before. Thirdly is the reduction of work experience requirement from 2 years down to 1 year. Part-time and casual work experience is accepted now to make up that 1 year, but this must have occurred in the last 5 years before you apply. This will make it easier for international students to use work experience possibly while they are studying or while on the graduate 485 visa after they complete their programs. And finally, if you have lodged your expensive 482 visa application but the business's nomination is refused, you can apply for a refund of your application fees if you withdraw your application. Now the three streams which most of you will have heard about before. The Specialist Skills stream. This stream is for nominated occupations where a salary of more than $135,000 is going to be paid to the visa applicant. The nominated occupation does not need to be on any specific government list, but it does need to be in the ANZCO group levels, at least Group 1, 2, 4, 5 or 6. This is a much broader range of occupations than anticipated. Much to the construction industry's annoyance and complaints, ANZCO occupations in groups 3, 7 and 8 are not permitted to be used for this stream, even if the incomes are well in excess of $135,000. So we may have the unusual situation where a retail sales assistant, ANZCO 621111, which requires just a Certificate 1 level education in Australia, being paid $135,000 and using the Specialist Skills stream and receiving express visa processing of just 7 days. However, we cannot sponsor the much-needed excavator operators, ANZCO ANZCO 721214, even if they are offered more than 135,000, since they are banned from this stream and also not on the CSOL either. In fact, the inclusion of ANZCO Level 5 and 6 occupations to these specialist pathways seems a little curious, considering the statements in the government's migration strategy announcements regarding this stream beforehand. In these announcements, the government said applicants would bring productivity, enhancing knowledge and ideas, create jobs for locals, and generate significant fiscal returns through taxation. They help meet labour needs that exist in an individual firm level and assist companies in acquiring specialist knowledge, niche technologies, or research expertise unavailable in Australia, and skill sets not picked up in occupational definition. Now, if someone in the department could let us know how a retail sales assistant could meet those criteria spruced in the strategy, please let me know. And that leads me to the second stream, the core skilled occupation stream. To use this stream, your occupation must be one of the 456 occupations on the core skilled occupation list. Visa applicants must be paid at least the level of the TSMET, which is currently 73,150. However, market salary rate calculations kick in, which is often much more than the TSMET but below 135,000. Determining the MSR is a complicated exercise, one which we thought we would have no need for anymore for this new so-called SRD visa. And the last stream is the labour agreement stream. If this sounds familiar, because it's exactly the same as the temporary skills shortage 482 visa labour agreement stream. This is because the government has still to determine how the expected essential skills stream is going to work. Maybe we need an immigration minister who is actually going to focus on immigration and assist in finalising this stream. Even the English language requirement for the SID is the same as the temporary shortage version, an IELTS or equivalent test level of 5 overall with a minimum of 5 in each component. Now, all of this new legislation is not retrospective, which means that will apply only to visas lodged after the 7th of December. Nominations that have already been lodged but undecided will be processed according to the old rules in place before today. Finally, the much anticipated new core skilled occupation list, known as the CSOL, was released this week. There is some confusion out there about the various lists. Remember, at this stage, the CSOL is for the new skills in demand visa and the employer nomination scheme visas only. It is not the skilled occupation list for the points visas such as for the 189, 190 and 491 visas. To many people's relief, 456 occupations appeared on the CSOL, which was more than expected. Many were delighted by the new occupations such as childcare workers, but restaurant managers and others who had been removed suffered great stress. Stories came out thick and fast in the media once the new list of occupations sank in. Restaurants slammed the move to remove restaurant managers and not to include frontline staff on the list. This article in the Sydney Morning Herald reads, Australians don't want to do the work. Top restaurants slam migration crackdown. The article highlights the owner of the upmarket Catalina restaurant in the posh harbourside suburb of Rose Bay in Sydney. He says, I just can't find Australians to do the work. The idea that we can have too many foreign students and they will pare it back just doesn't add up. We're crying out for skills. Other articles focused on the construction industry, slamming the government for including yoga teachers on the list, but not crane operators and other essential building workers. The article reads, a key industry group says they are dismayed after key construction workers were left off a revamped list detailing skilled migrants who can access visas, saying the oversight will only inflame Australia's housing crisis and labour shortage. Many occupations have been added to the list for the first time, and here are some examples on your screen. In the agricultural sector, we have irrigation designer and tree worker. IT occupations such as data analyst and penetration tester. In health services such as respiratory scientist and respiratory technician. Business related such as retail manager and office manager, and I can see those two occupations will be very popular. And in the trades and technical occupations, we have fire protection plumber and furniture maker. In the service industries, we have out-of-school care worker and tour guides. In legal services, we have conveyancing and legal secretary. And in the media, we have radio journalist. Still no YouTube journalists as yet, but maybe will be recognized one day. For those occupations that have been removed, well, you will know by now by looking at the list if your occupation is no longer there. Fortunately, chefs and cooks remain to keep the hospitality industry from going bankrupt. Now, if your occupation has been removed and a new nomination for the 482 visa has yet to be lodged before the changes, you can no longer obtain another 482 visa. Somewhat relieved that the student visa cap saga seems to be over, the South Australian Premier was out this week promoting the benefits of international students.
My personal view is this. In a state like South Australia, we've got capacity to have a lot more international students, and we want them. International students provide, first and foremost, huge sources of revenue for our higher education sector, which underpins R&D investment in our country. We need more R&D if we want to see productivity improve, not less. And then secondly, international students provide an important source of labour, particularly amongst, industries such as the hospitality and the retail sector who are crying out for workers. So I'm not too sure why we're doing this, apart from the fact that we've got a housing supply crisis.
But Jason Clare's aspirations to be the lord and master of the education industry will no doubt lead his buddies in the immigration portfolio to conjure up some new scheme. It looks as though he has an eye on a new ministerial direction, as this article in The Australian indicates. Direction 107 may be scrapped. Jason Clare set to scrap controversial direction after international student caps sunk. However, this headline is highly odd. I thought it was the Immigration Minister's role to set visa processing priorities, not the Education Minister's. Perhaps the Australian newspaper knows something that the rest of the public does not. The article outlines some staggering statistics. It reads, since Direction 107 was introduced, the number of offshore student visa applications lodged has fallen 37% as prospective students look to other markets with greater chances of success. Applications from India have fallen by 43% between January and October compared to last year. Applications from Nepal dropped by 57%, and those from the Philippines plunged 67%. However, visa applications from China have dipped by less than 2%, with Chinese students typically favouring the Group of 8 universities. With these sort of figures, it begs the question, is Direction 107 really about restricting international students, or is it aimed at reducing specific ethnic origins of international students? If I were our new mates PM, I would feel uncomfortable reading these figures. And finally tonight, the new National Innovation Visa has arrived, which is really the same facelift model as the 858 Global Talent Visa. There is not a great deal of change here in the regulations, except that you cannot apply directly for this visa anymore. You must wait for an invitation. Now, how you're going to get such an invitation is unclear, and today on Friday when I'm filming, it's the same Global Talent Visa information still on their website. The only thing the explanatory statement said regarding this legislation was, it requires that an applicant's internationally recognized record of exceptional and outstanding achievement to be the same as that stated in the invitation at the time of application. So the National Innovation Visa is searching for exceptional individuals internationally recognized for their outstanding achievements, and if this sounds like you, then stay tuned for more details. Well, there has certainly been a lot to analyze this week to get this video ready for you for the weekend, and I hope you have found it useful. The new requirements will open the doors for many and sadly close for some. If you need help figuring out what to do, then as always we are here. You can book a time online through our website, but if you're in a hurry, just pick up the phone. As always, take care out there and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.